Garnacho has had a strange couple of weeks at Manchester United, from winning the October Player of the Month to having Casemiro scream in his face for not tracking back. In today's video, we're going to be going over Garnacho's season so far, areas he's doing well, areas he can improve, and why some United fans need to leave this man alone. This pleb. Okay, so before the Power game, a video surfaced of a United fan harassing Garnacho. I'm not going to show the clip here because this guy doesn't deserve any more attention than he's already received, but this is what the guy was saying to Garnacho before the Power game while he was taking photographs for fans that sound like kids, which, by the way, Garnacho didn't have to do. He could have easily just kept walking, but he's that type of guy. He would stop and take photographs with fans. This is what he had to say. Garnacho, you've got to pass better today, yeah? Please, pass better today. Score a goal and work on your first touch as well, yeah? To which Garnacho coldly replied, why aren't you playing, man? Now, let's get this straight. There's one thing holding an opinion of a player online. There's another thing going directly up to that player before a match and slating them while recording it. Oh, and by the way, that player is our top goal scorer this season and is 20 years old. To do that, you have to be another level of douchebag, man. But this isn't the first time I've highlighted this guy being an absolute pagan. My first video on this channel was talking about how this guy was literally saying that Rashford is playing badly on purpose because he wants to leave United. Not just because he's out of form, but I mean, what do you expect from a guy who's a compulsive liar though? Look at this complete BS on his YouTube page. Clips from the best seats in the stadium. I sit behind Ten Hag. This view doesn't exactly look like it's behind Ten Hag, does it? Not to mention, he'll glaze over Jadon Sancho despite Sancho not having scored a goal this season, and Garnacho has 7, which just shows this man can't think logically. This is the sad state of United content today. Instead of putting actual arguments forward, it's all about clickbaiting and abusing the players to get views. When did United content creators stop wanting to report on the story and instead become the story? This thirst for attention needs to stop. The aftermath of the harassment came against Leicester yesterday, where Garnacho scored an absolute worldie. However, he didn't celebrate. Captain Bruno Fernandes had this to say after the match. Garnacho scored a banger but didn't celebrate like he should because he thinks that he has lost faith from some fans. I told him people always moan, but lots of people like you and enjoy what you do. A clip later surfaced of a young fan singing Garnacho's song while he was preparing to come on in the Leicester game. Alejandro noticed the young fan and acknowledged him. He would then go on to score the worldie and would give his shirt to the young United fan. I've had to take the sound off because of copyright, but please just watch this. That's the type of man Garnacho is. He's a young father, a family man. When you compare this to a reportedly 30-year-old man who's just harassing 20-year-olds before matches, I know which side I'm picking. But instead of focusing on this pagan, I'm going to break down Alejandro Garnacho's season so far. Strengths plus weaknesses. And you can make your mind up on if he deserved to be abused while taking photos and signing autographs for kids. First, let's look at Garnacho's strengths this season. Goal scoring and creating. Alejandro has appeared in 18 games this season, picking up 7 goals and 4 assists. When you compare this to Garnacho's individual numbers last season, where he managed to get 10 goals and 4 assists, he's well on track to outdo himself this season. Not to mention that he has more direct goal involvements this season than Kylian Mbappe, who, by the way, has played 200 more minutes and is 5 years older than him. Also, given the fact that scoring goals is something that we've obviously struggled with this season, his output isn't something that can be overlooked. Not to mention, he has the most assists in the team behind Fernandes. Defending. Even though Garnacho Garnacho has come under a lot of stick for his defending. There are a few key areas where he really excels. He's in the top 84.6% of wingers in the league when it comes to tackles won. He's in the top 80.2% for interceptions. And most impressively, he's in the top 92.3% for recoveries. For those that don't know, a recovery is when a player gets back into a defensive position after the opposition breaks through the defense. Now, I'm not going to stand here and make out that Garnacho is the best defensive winger in the league, because he's far from that, and we'll go over his defensive weaknesses soon. But a winger who's in the top 92.3% for recoveries doesn't tell me that he's a lazy player and he's not putting a shift in. Shots taken. This next trait of Garnacho, some will say is negative, some will say is a positive, depending which side your bread is buttered. Garnacho is in the top 99% of attacking midfielders / wingers for shots taken. When you compare this to Marcus Rashford, who is only in the top 56%, you can see this is a good trait for Garnacho, and that he is determined to get goals. He will take on more shots. Whereas Rashford doesn't have the hunger to have that many shots. Or you can look at it through the lens of Garnacho is greedy, and he's willing to break up play in order to get a shot off for himself. I'll let you make your own minds up. Now, let's look at Garnacho's weaknesses this season. In possession, one of the most frustrating areas in Garnacho's game has been his dribbling this season, where he used to simply sprint past his opposition players, an area he's cut back on this year. And with a dribble success rate of only 22.2%, this has put him in the bottom 13.2% of wingers this season for dribbling. But it's not only his dribbling which has let him down, the frequency at which he has been dispossessed is worrying. So far this season, Garnacho has been dispossessed 16 times, putting him in the bottom 15% of wingers, showing that he does need to work on his close control if he hopes to reach the levels that his idol reached. Defensive work. Another area which Garnacho needs to work on is his defensive work. Despite having some of the best stats for certain areas of defending, there are clear holes in his game. For example, winning duels, for which he is in the bottom 6.6% of wingers in the league, not to mention that he's in the bottom 14.3% of wingers for being dribbled past, which may explain Casemiro's frustration when Garnacho gave up possession and simply didn't track back once the player dribbled straight past him, creating. In the league this season, Garnacho has an XA, expected assist, ratio of 0.49, which shows he's not necessarily thinking about creating opportunities for his fellow forwards, which leads to opportunities like this being wasted. Garnacho could have easily passed the ball to Marcus Rashford, where he would have had a free shot on goal, but instead decided to take the shot. And it's because of situations like this that pagan United content creators, like this pleb, feel that they can harass players in their own team before a game, which you have to be partially brain dead to do. Why would you try and put your own players off their game right before a match? Oh yeah, because United winning isn't in your best interest. You feast off of chaos, you bottom feeder. As you can see, there are areas that Garnacho needs to improve. Nobody is denying that, but at the same time, you have to apply context. The boy is 20 years old. Even Ronaldo wasn't the finished product at 20 years old. Let's give him time, and let's not abuse some of our best players before they fall out of love with the game, just as Marcus Rashford clearly has. And most importantly, let's not give people like this guy airtime. They're cancerous to this club. What do you think about this guy's approach to Garnacho? Comment down below. Thank you for tuning in, and if you enjoyed this video, drop a like and subscribe for more honestly biased sports content. Godspeed.